So those were my pluses.
Yeah, I think that, I always think that you do a good job with, like, I don't know if it's fully process mapping, but I definitely noticed you doing it more today, and just being really thorough and covering, and responding to concerns. And Anna actually several times went back and forth about solutions and wanting to move forward, and you were, you were addressing it at least most of the time that she brought up moving on. Yeah, you do a good job when, like, of getting in there and really, and also, what's the word, like, how would I describe it? It's the connecting, like making the connection, the relationship between the feelings and values, or topics and values, like elaborating even on some of those things and connecting them. Yeah. You do a really good job with that. Something else. Yeah, you're excellent with brainstorming in terms of, like, getting on it down.
A lot this time.
A ton of stuff. Really good with that. Maybe that's also the other part of why I was like, because you were getting everything as it was coming up. It might be another part of why I wasn't feeling like I was adding as much, because they were, giving it to us, and you were really capturing it. And I know sometimes in brainstorming, people have, like, these really complicated, like, responses and you have to, like, really break them down more. Here, they were all just so, like, straightforward,
Yeah.
Specific for the most part. And so, yeah, you do a really good job of capturing, the ideas. Yeah.
Deltas, I think reflecting more, I felt like I really could have asked them better open-ended questions. I kind of kept saying, like, can you share more about that? And maybe just, like, some more specific open-ended questions. And then specifically, like I said before, around the depression, asking him to explain more of what that looks like, or what he's dealing with. I think would have been helpful. I think I tended to reflect probably more to Anna than Gahiji. And so just being more mindful of the balance, especially when someone's a talker, not getting, like, off in terms of, like, my reflections. And then I was wondering if maybe I should have, like, I don't know if you felt this, but I was wondering if I should have given more space at times. I was, like, really focused on, like, getting in there to reflect more, and then I was sort of mindful, like, oh no, am I not giving you space? So I wish I would have just, like, kind of touched base a couple times, just to be like, anything to add, Wendy, just to offer you some space with that. So I don't know if you felt that way, but I was sort of like, I didn't do the best job of, like, opening it up. I thought we did a good job of going back and forth with certain pieces, but the reflecting, I think I was so keen and, like, maybe overly keen. So my bad for not opening it up to you. And then I don't know, there were, like, a few things that Anna kept mentioning around, like, wanting us to weigh in and wanting us to tell him and wanting us to, like, validate, and I kind of kept wanting to jump in to explain or clarify our neutrality or our role, and then it just never seemed right, and then I just ended up kind of feeling like that whole piece just got repeated a lot, and I maybe could have, like, just acknowledged it at the get-go and been more clear, and so I just felt a little awkward and, like, didn't ever totally address some of her, like, wanting to be validated by us and then clarify that that's not what's going to happen here. So that was, like, maybe an oversight, something that could have been reflected. I'm thinking what else. yeah, I don't know, got a little stuck somewhere in the trust thing when they were asking about trust. And like tried to kind of clarify. You did a really good job of asking like what was going on behind that. Oh, I remember what it was. I think like I just dove right back into like listing the topics. Like, so back to marijuana. And that was like maybe awkward and could have just probably process mapped to be like, so just as a reminder right now we're listing topics. And a topic that I think I heard you say was like the transition from dealing with that kind of question around trust to going back into listing topics felt awkward, and probably just should have like straight up said that this is where we are and moving, I don't know, manage that transition a little better, I think is a delta for me. Yeah.
I think for both of us around that, there was a couple of moments like that because, like you said, and I went back and forth, you know, to that, and it felt the same way for me. Like I think only because it was, for me, it was so much information. It felt like you had to choose which to respond to. That's what it felt like to me. I didn't know. I mean, I just chose some piece of it to respond to. But you're right. There was an opportunity to process map and maybe clear it up. Going forward. So the thing around like giving space is something I do this often when I'm mediating with others. I don't know if I've said it to you, but if I have someone that's doing a lot of the talking, like my co-mediator, I have a tendency to sit back. And especially if it feels like you're hitting the stuff, it's kind of like, you know, I'm not like going to be redundant and just, you know,
jump back in.
Just to say something. And so there was at least one time where you did check in with me, but yeah, maybe a little bit more of an opportunity, you know, making space. Would have.
I felt that.
You know, been helpful for me. You mentioned, and then I think maybe, that's something I would want to ask Tracy about in terms of the brainstorming. Was that piece around, like, is there a lead? Is someone actually leading in that area? Seems like I remember, you know, in the training that it was more the person sitting was more leading and the person standing was more writing, but you know, I don't know. I've seen it done differently. Like I said, even in the video, they did it differently.
Yeah,
that wasn't the case in the video.
I've always known that, or I've always agreed or thought that was the case for the writing part, and then when you go back to like do the agreements and like kind of the circling, that's the part where I'm like, wait, what are the roles here?
What I thought about it was that when it gets to that circling piece, like then the person who's standing is like reading through the list and doing the circling, and so that's something we can ask Tracy.
And also just clarify the two of us beforehand. Like how we want to do it, or
but it'd be good to know like
best practice.
But I do also like what they did. If there's a lot, like we had a number of topics, if we're gonna go through, you know, that many topics, I would definitely
swap back and forth. I like that.
Other deltas. I don't know about like when we got to I don't know the detail part. Not that I don't know that this is about you exactly, but when we got to the like getting the details, that felt I wasn't sure about. I don't know. They came up with some things, so maybe they didn't need that, but it felt like we'd already done some of it. And maybe we did some, and then just there was more to be added.
I think what happened was like when we were tweaking, then they started to add some details to make it work.
I guess, because for me it almost felt like we were like
going into that next stage.
Well, once we were when you asked about the details, I felt like we'd already done details, even though you were right.
Yeah, well,
We
we
were
had
just
done them for like
tweaking
those two, and
Uh-huh.
obviously we like fast tracked, so like that,
Right, and so I think.
that whole experience was a little off, but.
Mhm. But no, it wasn't really a delta for you
Mhm.
because there was more, because when we went through it, you know, they were able to add in more details, so.
Because like, I mean, ideally, I think we would have done that for everything, like, R informs A if he will be late, what does that
Right.
look like?
Right,
And then it'd be like, okay, I'm gonna leave a message, or I'm gonna
Right,
text,
right,
or I'm gonna do
exactly.
this, like,
Yeah,
at least a little bit more for each of them, so, but maybe I like, transitioned a little messily or something.
yeah, no, it wasn't,
between
no,
these
it's not a
two
delta
details.
for you, it's not a delta for you.
Okay.
All right, let me see if there's anything else. Yeah, the one piece around trust, not exactly, I mean, you're just, you know, not speaking that piece.
Oh, really?
That happens, because I don't necessarily see it as a delta. You
I
have so many good
want
things.
to figure out better how to weave in when people talk about values for topics.
Yeah, so they
Especially
were
if it, like,
pressing on the,
Relates to different ones.
because I think they gave us two
Yeah, he was like, trust
values that they
and
wanted to put up.
Patience. Yeah, that is what I want.
Right,
It's like,
and they were in agreement and everything at some point about it, yeah. So yeah, that is an area, you know, that, I mean, we can both improve on, but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Yay, we did it.
We did it.
Getting better all the time, I hope.
Yes, I hope so.
Okay, let me pause this.